I am now ready to work the fourth triangle, which will cause the square in the middle to become on point once the last rectangle is added right here. So the center square will become on point within the larger square. The edging round is single crochet stitches. Along some of the edges, they're worked a little bit differently. You'll need to look at the written pattern for that explanation or watch the previous video. The corners have 2 chains. The corners of the inner square have 2 chains to leave enough room for 3 stitches. The 3 stitches that go in the chain 2 space are a half double crochet, single crochet, and half double crochet. And these are all just regular stitches, they're not Tunisian stitches. Now, when I started the first side of these outer triangles, I started by pulling up an unknotted loop in this chain 2 space. Then I did a chain 1, which is the equivalent of a single crochet. And then I worked a half double crochet. And this is the top of the half double crochet. And then I continued on. Now I'm going to show you on the 4th side, which is very similar to the first side, what I did. First of all, on each side, I put a stitch marker in the 11th single crochet along the side. This is the first single crochet right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 21 single crochet stitches along each side with 2 chains in each corner, and I wanted to mark the middle, so I put my stitch marker in the 11th stitch. Now, to start the side, now this 3rd side already has the half double crochet in the chain 2 space, because that's the way the pattern is written. It starts with the single crochet, then the half double crochet, and then all of the increasing and decreasing rows, and then it ends with a half double crochet. Now, to begin the 4th side, I work a half double crochet, a single crochet in the same chain 2 space, and then a half double crochet in the same chain 2 space. So there I have my 3 stitches in the chain 2 space. The next stitch is going to be a linked double crochet. I insert my hook under the middle strand of the 3 strands that are in the half double crochet, and here they are: the right strand, the middle strand, and the left strand. So under the middle one, yarn over and pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook. Then I work into the back loop only of the first single crochet, and this is the first single crochet right here, so I need to go into the back loop only. So I've got 2 loops on the hook, I insert under the back loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now the next stitch is an increasing stitch, So we yarn over, insert under the horizontal strand. It's actually a vertical strand when we turn it, and then the back loop of the next stitch along the side. We got 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, back to the beginning. Now we do an increase on every row until we get to the 11th stitch on the side of the central square. So to increase, we yarn over. Make sure you find that next strand, which can be kind of hidden. That is the yarn over from the previous increase. Now I have 5 loops on the hook. And I'll do one more increasing row, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, and in every vertical bar across and in the back loop of the next stitch. Then yarn over, pull through 2, back to the other edge. And you can see that the rows are getting longer or taller, depending on how you want to look at it. Okay, I have worked all but the 11th stitch here along the side, and let's count how many increasing rows we've got. I'm putting a stitch marker in the single crochet that we started with on this side, and then there's a half double crochet, then there's a linked double and an increase by yarning over before we start each row. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 increasing rows on this triangle, well, 12 rows on this increasing triangle, and I'm going to show you how I work the last increasing row. Yarn over, find the yarn over from the previous row, insert, pull up a loop, pull up a loop in every vertical bar, keeping the loops close to the fabric. Don't yank up on them. Don't elongate those vertical bars. In this particular pattern, it makes a difference whether you get a flat piece of fabric or a wavy piece, depending on whether you're able to keep these vertical bars close to the fabric. Okay, now there's 1 stitch left along the edge of the center square, so I'm removing the stitch marker and inserting in the back loop, yarn over. Now let's count and see how many vertical bars we have, or loops on the hook. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, and that's exactly how many we want. Return pass, yarn over, pull through 2, and on the return pass we use just a little bit wider stroke than you might be comfortable doing, be accustomed to doing in Tunisian crochet. Okay, we did a yarn over, pull through 2 all the way back to the outer edge. Now this next row is a work even row. So I'm putting a stitch marker in the last increasing row the 13th row from this stitch marker. And the next row is going to be work even on the forward pass. So we don't yarn over. We're no longer doing that. And this row here is a transition row, so we work even. So we pull up a loop in every vertical bar. And in the back loop of the edge. Now let's count, because we worked even, so we should still have 13 loops on the hook. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Good job. Now on the return pass, we work it almost the same. Yarn over, pull through 2, keeping the chain, the horizontal strands just a tiny bit wider than you might be accustomed to. Continue on with that until there are 3 loops on the hook. And here we're doing a decreasing, an outer edge decrease. So we yarn over and pull through all 3 of those. So this was the last, the marked row is the last increasing row, and this next row was a work even on the forward pass, but an outer edge decrease on the last yarn over and pull through on the outer edge. Now after you've done a decrease, if you're going to decrease on the next one, you have to be careful where you're putting your hook. Do not use the first strand, do not use the second strand, but use the third one. And when you have 3 loops left on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So continue working decreasing rows until you have the last single crochet remaining. And I will come back and show you what that looks like. All right, we have 1 single crochet left. It's there, and this is the chain 2 space. So insert, pull up a loop, insert, pull up a loop, insert in the back loop of the side stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, and now I have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 through 3. Now the last stitch is a linked half double crochet, so insert under the vertical bar, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert in the chain 2 space, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So now we've gone back to the first chain 2 space, and we have a half double crochet, single crochet, and a half double crochet. So I'm going to do an invisible join with a needle. I snipped the yarn, pulled it out of the last loop, thread it into a yarn needle, and I'm going front to back under the 2 strands at the top of the half double crochet stitch. I can't do it in the single crochet because there's really no horizontal stitches there. So front to back under those 2 horizontal stitches, front to back under the stitch where it's coming out of, and that V that I just created is the V that's at the top of the single crochet. We just created the top of the single crochet. All right, now on the back, I'll show you how I weave in the ends. I go under this strand and this strand of the half double crochet, and then come over here and go under this strand of the single crochet, and now the front of the stitches, you can't tell where the join is. So then I weave in the ends, and I like to go ahead and tie a knot, a double knot actually, and then weave in the ends. Some people don't like knots. That's no problem. You don't have to use a knot. I feel more secure with knots. So I will just weave in the ends, and the next thing we'll do is put a border around it. All right, I have woven in all the ends, and we've now got a full square that the inner square is on its point. This is what it looks like on the back. And we don't need this stitch marker anymore, but we do need the ones in the outer corners. So the next thing we will do is use the medium color yarn, and we're going to make a round of linked double crochet stitches, and we're going to put 4 linked double crochet stitches in each corner, but the first corner we're only going to do half of the stitches. So I'm going to do a stacked double crochet and a linked double crochet in the first stitch, and then we'll progress onward. Here's how I do a stacked double crochet. In the marked stitch, I insert my hook, get the loop on the hook and pull it through. I don't have a knot on the loop or in this tail. Then I chain 1. Then I do a single crochet, and then in that single crochet I insert my hook under the left strand, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So that is a stacked double crochet. It's 2 single crochets, one on top of the other. Now to make a linked double crochet, I insert under this somewhat diagonal strand over here, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then I go back into the same stitch, corner stitch. Wait a moment. Let's do that again. Insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so we've got a stacked double crochet and a linked double crochet. Now we work along this edge. We make linked double crochet stitches along this edge. However, we don't work one in each stitch, because if we do that, our gauge is going to be slightly off, because these lines on the outside of these triangles are worked on the bias, and the number of stitches is fewer than the gauge of the central part of the pattern, or even the gauge of the triangles if you go top to bottom and side to side. Anytime you have a diagonal of a square, it's going to be a different measurement than the sides of the square. So in order to make up for the shortage of stitches, we're going to work 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So in the next stitch, we'll work a linked double crochet. In the next one, a linked double crochet. And in the next one, 2 linked double crochet stitches. So it's 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So continue with that all the way to the next corner. Okay, I've worked all of the linked double crochet stitches along this edge, and I am now at the marked stitch in the corner, and in this one I work 4 linked double crochet stitches. And now I will continue on and do the same pattern along the other 3 sides. Okay, I've worked my way around the square and I'm back to the original corner. I'm going to remove the stitch marker, and remember there are 2 stitches already in it, so I need to add 2 more for a total of 4. Okay, there are now 4 stitches in the corner, and I'm going to use an invisible join. So I snip the yarn, pull it out through the last stitch, thread it into a yarn needle, and I'm going to do a needle join into the top of the first linked double crochet, which is right there. And back into the same stitch where it's coming out of, and actually into that lower, farther back strand as well. Pull on it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches in the corner. And I work to make sure that this last V that I made doesn't get too tiny. It needs to match the width of the stitches around it. Then I'm going to come over here and go under these 2 strands. Still making sure that the 4 V stitches are matching. And then I like to tie a knot and tie in, or weave in this end so that the tail is hidden. And I use the original tail to join with a modified mattress stitch, and this is not crucial. I'm just picky and I like to do this, but you'll notice that this is the horizontal bar of the third of the 4 stitches in the corner, and this is the horizontal bar of the second one, and these two do not have that nice continuous line as all the other ones do. So I do my modified mattress stitch, which involves poking the needle from back to front just right above the right end of that horizontal bar, and then top to bottom slide it under the horizontal bar, and then come over here and slide it top to bottom under the other horizontal bar that I want to join, and then I poke the needle back into the fabric all the way to the back, and I pull on that strand and I pull it taut until there is a continuous line of these horizontal bars that goes around the corner, and then I weave this one in. Oops, I lost it. Anyway, I'm not going to make you watch me do that. Okay, I've woven in the ends. There's the back of the square. Here's the front. And I have 2 more border rounds to work. And these other 2 border rounds are not 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. They're just 1 stitch in every stitch along the ends or edges, and 4 stitches in every corner. Now, the pattern says to put a stitch marker in the second of the 4 stitches in each corner because that's where you're going to put your 4 stitches on the next round. So counting, this is the first one, second one, third one, and fourth one. So I'm putting a stitch marker in the second stitch of that corner. And I did that on this one all the way around, 1 stitch marker in the second stitch of every corner, and you can see that I did the 4 stitches in the second stitch of the 4, and then on the last round I worked all 4 stitches in the third stitch of every corner. So when you're working a linked double crochet square that's totally solid with no holes in the corners, that's what you do. You stagger, you work in the third, then the second, then the third, then the second stitch of each of the corners, and that way your seam never gets wonky, it never curves off, it stays straight. So hopefully that helped you see how to accomplish this beautiful square. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.